Mr. Fox is again victimized. When Miss Sally's little boy went to Uncle Remus the next night to hear the conclusion of the adventure, in which the rabbit made a riding horse of the fox, to the great enjoyment and gratification of Miss Meadows and the girls, he found the old man in a bad humor. "I ain't tellin' no tales to bad children," said Uncle Remus curtly. "But Uncle Remus, I ain't bad," said the little boy plaintively. "Who dat chunkin' dem chickens dis mornin'? Who dat knockin' out the folks' eyes with that Yalabama sling just before dinner? Who dat sickin' dat panted puppy outer my pig? Who dat scatterin' my inkinsets? Who dat flingin' rocks on top of my house, which a little more'n one of 'em would have dropped sprang on my head? Well, now, Uncle Remus, I didn't do it. I won't do it any more. Please, Uncle Remus, if you will tell me, I'll run to the house and bring you some tea cakes." "Seein' 'em's better'n hearin' tell of 'em," replied the old man, the severity of his countenance relaxing somewhat. But the little boy darted out, and in a few minutes came running back with his pockets full and his hands full. "I lay your mammy suspicion dat the rats' stomachs is whitening this neighborhood when she come for to count up cakes," said Uncle Remus with a chuckle. "Dese," he continued, dividing the cakes into 2 equal parts, "dese I'll tackle now, and dese I'll lay by for Sunday. Let me see. I most disremember whereabouts Br'er Fox and Br'er Rabbit was." "The rabbit rode the fox to Miss Meadows and hitched him to the horse rack," said the little boy. "Why, course he did," said Uncle Remus. "Course he did. Well, Br'er Rabbit rid Br'er Fox up, he did, and tied him to the rack, and then sot out in the piazzer with the gals a-smokin' his cigar with more proudness than what you most ever see. They talk, and they sing, and they play on the piano, the gals did, 'twell by and by he come time for Br'er Rabbit for to be gwine, and he tell 'em all goodbye, and strut out to the horse rack, same as if he was the king of the patter rollers. And then he mount Br'er Fox and ride off. Br'er Fox ain't sayin' nothin' 'tall. He just rack off, he did, and keep his mouth shut, and Br'er Rabbit knowed there was business cookin' up for him, and he feel monstrous skittish. Br'er Fox amble on twell he getted the long lane outer sight of Miss Meadows' house, and then he turned loose, he did. He rip and he roar and he cuss and he swar, he snort and he cavort." "What was he doing that for, Uncle Remus?" the little boy inquired. "He was trying for to fling Br'er Rabbit off in his back, bless your soul, but he just might as well wrestle with his own shadder. Every time he hump himself, Br'er Rabbit slapped his spurs in him, and dar they had it up and down. Br'er Fox followed to up the ground, he did, and he jumped so high and he jumped so quick that he mighty nigh snatched his own tail off. They kept on gwine this way till by and by Br'er Fox laid down and rolled over, he did, and this sort of unsettled Br'er Rabbit. But by the time Br'er Fox got back on his footsies again, Br'er Rabbit was gwine through the underbrush more samer than a racehorse. Br'er Fox he lit out after him, he did, and he pushed Br'er Rabbit so close that it was about all he could do for to get in the hollow tree. Hole too little for Br'er Fox for to get in, and he had her lay down and rest and get her his mind together. While he was layin' dar, Br'er Buzzard come floppin' long and see Br'er Fox stretch out on the ground. He lit in view of the premises. Then the Buzzard sort of shake his wing and put his head on one side and say to himself, like says he, "Br'er Fox is dead, and I so sorry." "No, I ain't dead nudder," says Br'er Fox, says he. "I got old man Br'er Rabbit pin up in yar," says he, "and I'm a-gwine to get him this time if it take till Christmas," says he. Then arter some more palaver, Br'er Fox make a bargain that Mr. Buzzard was to watch the hole and keep Br'er Rabbit dar while Br'er Fox went arter his axe. Then Br'er Fox he lope off, he did, and Mr. Buzzard he tuck up his stand at the hole. By and by, when all get still, Br'er Rabbit sort of scramble down close to the hole, he did, and holler out, "Br'er Fox, oh Br'er Fox!" Br'er Fox done gone, and nobody say nothing. Then Br'er Rabbit squall out like he was mad, says he. "You needn't talk less you wanter," says he. "I know you were there, and I ain't keerin'," says he. "I just want to tell you that I wish mighty bad der Turkey Buzzard was here," says he. Then Mr. Buzzard tried to talk like Br'er Fox. "What you want with Mr. Buzzard?" says he. "Oh, nothin' in particular, except there's the fatter gray squirrel in year that I ever see," says he, "and if Br'er Turkey Buzzard was around, he'd be mighty glad for to get him," says he. "How Mr. Buzzard gwine to get him?" says the buzzard, says he. "Well, dar's a little hole round on the other side of the tree," says Br'er Rabbit, says he, "and if Br'er Turkey Buzzard was here, so he could take up his stand dar, says he, I'd drive that squirrel out," says he. "Drive him out then," says Mr. Buzzard, says he, "and I'll see that Br'er Turkey Buzzard gets him," says he. Then Br'er Rabbit kick up a racket like he were driving something out, and Mr. Buzzard he rushed round for to catch the squirrel, and Br'er Rabbit he dash out, he did, and he just fly for home. At this point Uncle Remus took one of the tea cakes, held his head back, opened his mouth, dropped the cake in with a sudden motion, looked at the little boy with an expression of astonishment, and then closed his eyes, began to chew, mumbling as an accompaniment to the plaintive tune of "Don't You Grieve Ever Me." The séance was over, but before the little boy went into the big house, Uncle Remus laid his rough hand tenderly on the child's shoulder and remarked in a confidential tone, "Honey, you must get up soon Christmas morning and open the door, 'cause I'm going to bounce in on Mars John and Miss Sally and holler Christmas gift just like I were during the farming days 'fore the war, when old Miss was alive. I bound they don't forget the old man nudder. When you hear me calling the pigs, honey, you just hop up and unfasten the door. I lay I'll give Mars John one of these here surprise parties."